Now that we are retired, I don't feel we should have to eat like people in poor countries.
Your feelings are irrelevant.
Well, because
You're obviously a whack job.
what were you doing for the last 40 years of working?
Because
We are answering your comments and questions. We are on the road, headed to go buy a car, hopefully in Billings, which is 2 hours away. So since we had to take off work, I said, let's record, dear. And you were like, okay.
sure, let's record in the car.
The first comment in regards to where I said in my former video that this is America, we have the cheapest food prices in the world. You can sustain life on beans and rice if you had to. Kelly says, we are not a third world country, and I don't believe we should be happy eating beans and rice. My husband and I worked very hard all our lives and put money into savings. Now that we are retired, I don't feel we should have to eat like people in poor countries. I will be very interested to hear what you think of the orange felon when he doesn't come through on his promises.
What promises are you speaking of?
Well, because
You're obviously a whack job if you're using these terms in our comments. I'm sorry. I mean,
You said it this time, not
only
me.
screwy, crazy people say the orange felon.
that's just
Like-
ridiculous. Okay, so first of all, let's get down to this. If you have prepared for retirement, what are you worried about?
Yeah, if you have savings, then what's the problem?
I mean, yeah, we're talking about tariffs and stuff going up, but in all reality, stuff is probably not going to go up. It's probably going to stay the same or go down. Now, I don't believe we should be happy eating beans and rice. And she says, now that we're retired, I don't feel we should have to eat like people in poor countries.
Your feelings are irrelevant.
Absolutely irrelevant.
Do you have, I mean, you say you worked hard and saved, so why don't you, I assume that means you saved for retirement, so why don't you just shop smart? Like, you can shop smart and eat things that aren't beans and rice for how much?
Oh, you could easily eat for $200 a month.
For one,
Well,
how many people?
For two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, even now you could do that.
So if you can't afford $200 a month in your retirement after working hard and setting aside money, you must have been making no money at your job.
And if that's the case, what were you doing for the last 40 years of working?
Because the thing is, for people that say, oh, well, you know, I worked at my minimum wage job until I retired and now I don't have enough money to live like I'm a rich guy. Well, no, that's because you chose to live in a minimum wage job for your entire career.
Yeah.
Like, minimum wage jobs are for entry level, and then after that, you look for a way to increase your income as you go. And most people doing that make a lot more money later on in their career than they made at the beginning. But if you stay in the minimum wage job, then you're choosing the beans and rice when you retire.
Well, and I get that things happen. There's medical emergencies, something like that could happen. But here's the thing, even if that's the case, your feelings are irrelevant. Is that better?
Yeah. I forgot now what you said was irrelevant.
Even if you have an emergency and everything is wiped out, let's say you're in the LA fires and everything was in your house and it wasn't insured and you're totally wiped out. Well, you know what? Sometimes life just stinks. You have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't care what you feel. Yeah, I don't feel like doing these videos someday, but guess what?
Your feelings and not believing that you should be happy. I'm sorry, but there are people in third world countries and they are happy. Happiness isn't about, oh, I want a lot of fancy stuff that other people have that I want, but I didn't actually do what it takes to get. Like,
But it's still not about your feelings.
happiness is not, it's not about your feelings. And the thing is, it's funny because on the beans and rice, we've never really just eaten beans and rice. But the thing is, we have eaten for a very low price, and sometimes we sacrificed and not eaten things we wanted because we were trying to save for a better future.
Yep. All right. The next one is from Anita, I think. Are you going to work in the fields that the immigrants did? There's a lot of jobs on our job searches that were not there before. And my husband, now she doesn't really make sense in her comments, so I don't know, but I'm going to read the whole thing. My husband lost his job of 27 years to Texas. Now trying to do his retirement, and God only knows if Trump and Musk are going to stop that for him. He is worn down. How does that work for my family? Not so good. And then the next comment was from Mary, and this is a really long rant on Trump, but not so fast, Missy. Do you realize that agriculture depends on a lot of those immigrants to pick your vegetables and fruits? So tell me, who is going to take their place? And then she does this whole Trump rant and all this stuff. So here's the thing.
You know, yeah.
Do you want to say it, or do you?
I just want to say that when people throw out disrespectful things to other people out there, you should not expect to have people respond respectfully to you. So that's the first part. Regarding, wait, where was the one about the other one?
Are you going to work in the fields?
Yeah. So I'm confused. Are you going to work in the fields that the immigrants did? The immigrants, like our immigrant relatives, or you mean the illegal aliens?
I think she means the illegal aliens.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not going to. And I don't understand. Are you saying your husband lost his job of 27 years to Texas? So are you saying your husband was working in the fields and he lost his fields job to Texas? I'm confused about what you're saying here.
Doesn't really make sense. But
So let's just say, are you going to work in the fields that immigrants did? No. Like, the market will work itself out. First of all, I don't know where you people are getting your news, but they're not going to send every person home who came here illegally. They're just not. It's not practical.
if
It's
you
not even
listen
possible.
to what they say, they said we're focusing on the criminals first. The criminals first. Just getting all the criminals out is going to take at least a year.
But the thing is, this has been something that's been going on for like 100 years. Well, no. It's been going on for like 50, 75 years. This political football of, oh, there's people in the country illegally. Oh, let's make them citizens. And then we won't have any more people coming over illegally because they'll only let them come in legally. And, oh, well, oops, now we're going to go ahead and let them come in illegally again. And so it's a big political football. And it's always the argument, who's going to pick your food? Well, somebody will do it, first of all. But secondly, they're not going to get rid of everyone that's here. It's just not going to happen. It's not even really possible. So what they will do is they will get rid of people that are here that are committing crimes, people that are known to have committed crimes and then came here. But for the most part, I think if people are, living a normal life, behaving themselves like reasonable people, they're not just going to come hunt everybody down. They just don't have the resources to do that.
No.
And there's not really a motivation to do that unless there's a threat.
Yeah.
So the main thing
And
is...
there are legal ways to work in this country.
But the other thing is, even if they did, like, is it okay for you to go rob a candy store? Well, let's say, what if you just go to the grocery store and you just grab a shopping cart full of groceries and you leave with it? Is it okay to say, oh, well, you were hungry, you were just trying to feed your family? Is that okay? I mean, people, you might feel bad about it, but the thing is that a person stole something. And so when somebody comes here illegally, there are risks they take. And, I've known people here who were here illegally, and they were friends, but there were consequences to your actions. So if you come here illegally, there's always the risk that you're going to have to leave. But there is a legal process, and it's not an easy legal process. That needs to be solved. But the thing is, this whole bit about, are you going to pick the produce? No, are you? Like, that's a ridiculous question. And the other thing is, this other lady that says not so fast, Missy.
That one right there. Oops, here.
Missy, oh no, Mary. I guess I didn't call you Missy. So, you say...
Do you realize that agriculture depends on a lot of those immigrants to pick your
is-
vegetables and fruits?
Who is going to take their place? Well, I don't know if you know it or not, but the majority of the produce at the grocery store is not picked in the United States. So, who's going to take their place? Like, a lot of those vegetables and fruits come from Ecuador or other places in Central America and Mexico and South America. So, this is just a blown out of proportion thing that either you're just playing a political game or you're being manipulated by somebody who's playing a political game.
And the other thing that nobody talks about is there are certain jobs that are just entry-level jobs that do not pay. It's absolutely ridiculous to be paying people picking the fields, paying people who work at McDonald's, who have entry-level jobs that are for teenagers.
You're talking about like if there weren't any people here illegally picking,
Yeah,
that you can't really pay people $20 an hour for an entry-level job.
exactly.
And
And I'm
she's
sorry.
not talking about the people that are here illegally.
No, I'm just talking about any jobs. Everybody seems to think that you have to have a livable wage for every single job in this country. That's absolutely ridiculous.
And the problem with that is if you say everybody everywhere should make a minimum of $20 an hour, let's say, then that means that you should be willing to pay $5,000 a month for two people to live.
Yep.
And maybe in some places people do that, but most people don't. But the thing is, people have this idea that this money just magically comes out of some box somewhere. No, you are paying for it.
Yeah.
And so when you get somebody like at McDonald's, and I mean, I know there's good people that work at McDonald's, but a lot of people at McDonald's, you stand there for half an hour and the food's not coming and the person's just hanging out back there doing something. And do you really think you want to pay that person $20 an hour?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there are other people, but the reality is the ones that are really good, they should go get a job that pays more with the experience that they got while not getting paid that much at McDonald's.
Those jobs are for getting experience and starting out.
But that whole business about what are you going to do? Well, first of all, it's a silly question because they're not going to get rid of all the people that are here illegally. And, I'm sorry, immigrants are people who come, but people that are here illegally are aliens, like they're foreigners here in the country. It doesn't mean we should treat them badly, but we shouldn't be changing the language in order to make some kind of a political point.
Especially when you're aiding and abetting criminals.
And when you don't acknowledge that they're here illegally, I mean, again, if somebody just walks into the store and takes stuff off the counter because they're hungry, is that okay? Because that's the argument that's being made on a lot of this situation with people coming over. Now, I don't blame them. If somebody told me, come to this country and we'll give you lots of free stuff, I would probably do it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a legal way for a legal process where people can come and they can come into the country legally, and then there's no fear of being deported. But again, it's really short-sighted to think, regardless of what he says, that they're going to just take everyone who's here illegally and make them all leave.
It's not possible for them to go door to door.
And there's no motivation.
For 20 million people.
There's no real motivation to remove people who aren't causing trouble for other people.
Yeah.
So if like, we've known people that were here illegally, committed maybe not a huge crime, but it was still a crime that was not just being here and then got warned not to do it again and did it 2 or 3 more times and then got deported. And those people are going to get deported. So if you're here, and even if you're just shoplifting 2 or 3 times, you're here illegally, that's enough reason to have you go.
Yeah.
And if you were a citizen, they still wouldn't put up with it, but you'd have a different kind of punishment then. So, but the people that are here illegally doing something and basically, working and, acting fine, it's unlikely they're going to be asked, it's unlikely they're going to come after them and make them leave.
Yeah.